Hey everyone, my name is Brittany Marie Koppen, and this is my oral final exam for EPSI 7210, and it's called Taking EPSI 7210 into My First Year of Teaching. So starting with my outline, part one, we're going to look at the two objectives from the course that I felt like I've met, and I'm going to talk about some specific examples of how I've met these course goals. Part two, we're going to look into my future plans, and I'm going to reflect on, some areas of growth that I've had related to my own personal work and how I plan to engage in this diversity and equity work in gifted education starting my first year of teaching. And part three, I'm going to talk about networking and collaboration and talk about some organizations and individuals that I plan to connect with to, promote what I've learned and talk about the effectiveness in addressing all these issues that we have and making sure that the community and the schools and the home is all part of it and describing why it's so important. So part one, these are the two objectives. While I do feel like I've gained so much knowledge over this entire summer semester, these are the two that I'm really going to hone in on for this final. So for this first objective, I picked objective number 2, where I'm going to recognize prejudice and oppressive institutional structures in education that marginalize gifted students from culturally diverse backgrounds. And then there's objective number 8, where you develop a plan to use multicultural approaches to address home, school, community relations that support gifted programs and empower students and their families. So first, looking at how I met objective 2, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about was my reflective papers. So for my reflective papers 1 and 2, I focused on gender and, specifically looking at females in STEM and how there is such a lack of females in STEM and how, there needs to be more encouragement, not only in the school, but, in the community and at home for these students. So something that I've learned and felt like I've really met in this course is all these different skills I can take away, whether that be, learning to personally invite these female students into STEM courses so that they know that, oh my gosh, we have Miss Koppen, she's also a STEM teacher, she's really passionate about this, she's going to be our support system, or, encouraging female students to join STEM extracurricular activities. And I hope myself to be a leader of an after-school or during-school club that really promotes STEM for females or STEM for everybody. I just really want to get STEM rolling and show how awesome it is. And also reaching out to female community members who can come and, discuss their jobs in the STEM field with these female students and just showing them all the opportunities they have. And finding community partnerships that put a focus on STEM for females. For example, Girl Scouts does a huge amount of that. So maybe bringing them in. And finally, serving as a daily mentor myself as a woman who's passionate about mathematics and just being a positive role model for my female students. So I've learned so much about that, and I'm excited to get that started this year for my first year of teaching. Something else that I feel like I've really met objective 2 with is my knowledge on the referral and identification process. So I've learned a lot about this through this entire program, but for this course specifically, reading, Fraser, Garcia's, and Pastel's work from 1995, they really just focus on the fact that they recommend expanding the numbers and types of people who can participate in the referral process. So now I know this is not just a one-person job as the teacher. This is something that hopefully I can take into my school and be like, okay, how are we going to do this? How can we get the community involved and the students involved and the parents involved to make sure that we're not missing any students for the gifted program? Also, in terms of identification and this authentic evaluation, looking into other types of ways we can identify students for gifted, looking into maybe bringing in portfolios or performance assessments. The more authentic and creative ways of identifying students can help us in many ways. And, these are such less stressful and, more enjoyable ways for students to demonstrate their gifts and talents. And with them having such various parts, measures, and components, we can see a bunch of their different talents and gifts. So I hope that this type of evaluation can help all students. And I'm really excited with all the knowledge I have so far about the different types of evaluation and how we can bring this into the identification process, how we can really make sure that, we're not, pushing anybody to the side and that everybody's welcome and that we're, we're really diving deep into the culturally diverse backgrounds, race, class, gender, and different languages, and making sure that everybody has equal access to the gifted program and that we provide them with the needs that they need. So looking at the next objective is objective 8. So I feel like I've gained so much knowledge, on family involvement and education for advocacy. I think sometimes before I've thought, okay, I'm going to have to really be the advocate for my students, but it's so important too, as I've learned through this semester, that parents too can like really get involved, and that all comes with education. So I've learned that, it's so important that I as the teacher can kind of provide these, recommendations to increase family involvement to these families, whether that be volunteering at the school, assisting in their work at home, me providing resources for them to assist their child, initiating frequent school contact, me talking to the parents, letting them know what's going on, us having that constant back and forth so they know what's going on with their student at school, setting high expectations for their child's academic future, and then being consistent with their rules and roles at home. These are all things that Ford mentioned in the text that I definitely think are huge for parents to become advocates and involved in that in the education process. So another thing that I felt like I've gained so much knowledge on is, the counseling initiatives. And so this is something that I really, even though it says counseling, I find myself having that counseling role as a teacher, maybe not meeting all of these because, there's only so much, I can do in that classroom time, but making sure that me and that counselor are on the same page in terms of what we need to be able to do and what we'll be able to know and what skills we have. So, having that knowledge to assess more culturally diverse students, understanding that there are differences both between and within cultures, being able to address and understand other variables such as gender identity, religious identity, sexual orientation, and understanding that students may have various identities and be affiliated with multiple groups and not just one. Also, being able to assess all the concerns that students may have and, being patient, understanding, being a good listener, and all of these things, and being willing to try out different strategies to assist students and having good communication with parents is huge. So really making sure that I have this as the counselors take on the initiatives that I too as a teacher do as well. In terms of multicultural education, I really love that section where I pulled in how I too can address, multicultural education in my 6th grade math classroom. So I discussed, really honing in on harmony and movement and oral tradition from day one, and so many of the other strategies that were mentioned. But these are ones that I'm so excited about, and I feel like I have a lot of knowledge on from this course to be able to start right as those kids walk in. We're going to be moving around. We're going to be telling, stories related to math and how it's in our own lives. And, overall, we're going to have this harmony where, it's this classroom environment where mistakes are accepted and they're okay. And it's a safe place to share your thoughts, share your feelings, share your stories, share where you're coming from. And just so everybody knows that, we're all a team and everybody comes from different backgrounds. And it's so important that we take the time to learn about each other. It is math class, but it's so important that we're in this, environment where there's so much, safe, like such a safe space, and it's so comfortable. And finally, more sensitivity to culturally different students. This is something that is so important to me, and I think that it's something that we really do need to focus on, because I definitely felt like it was something, that it's just so important that we be so sensitive, like I said, in creating such a safe environment for all of them and letting them share, parts of their lives with us so we can all grow. So, let's see. Part 2, looking ahead, future plans, which I'm super excited about for my first year of teaching. I may be taking on a little too much, but I'm really excited. So I love this quote from Kendall that says, every system is exquisitely designed to produce the results it gets. If you want to change the results, you have to change the system. And specifically in my mind, I'm thinking about the school system I'm going into. And I'm thinking, okay, what if I get in there and I'm not satisfied with the results our gifted program is getting and the makeup of our gifted program? Well, I'm going to change the system then. So my personal work begins now because our first day of school is on Friday and I'm super excited. So, and as Kendall says, through my personal work, it's not everyone will agree with you, not everyone will like you, and for sure not everyone will be amused. But that's okay, because this is my personal work, this is what I'm passionate about, and I'm excited to be an advocate for my culturally diverse students, be an advocate for my females in STEM, incorporate that multicultural instruction into my math classroom, making sure every student sees themselves in the math classroom and is reflected in what I'm teaching, whether that be through examples or sharing stories or whatever it may be, and, taking my knowledge that I've gained through this course in terms of referrals and broadening that scope of who can refer, as well as the identification and which ways are we identifying, and make sure that maybe I develop a professional development course for teachers in the school, and we learn, okay, how do we look at the gifts and talents in culturally diverse students and making sure that these talents and gifts don't go unnoticed? And I'm really excited to get in there and, take forward's 20% equity rule in my own school, look at what our, demographics are, look at what it should fit and say, does this line up? Does this make sense? And if not, times have got to change. And I'm ready as a first-year teacher to dive in and get changes made, and I'm excited about it. So let's see. Networking and collaboration. Talking about that. I plan to, network and collaborate with a bunch of people. Starting at the College of Education, this is such a great resource, still being involved. And I know this is my last semester in the program this upcoming fall, but I have so many great resources in terms of professors and my advisor and my practicum experience this fall. I'm really, really excited with to bring in everything I've learned. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing yet, but I know I'm going to try to bring in a little bit of FC 7210 and FC 6020 that we've done this summer too. So reaching out to them and collaborating with them and seeing, okay, what do you think I could do, and getting some ideas. Also talking to the middle school personnel at my school, whether that be the instructional coach, principal, the mentor teacher that I have right now who is also gifted certified, so we could talk about our gifted program and really break it down, and the vice principal as well. They've always been really great about saying, hey, if you have ideas or any things you want to share, please share, and I'm going to share, so I hope they're ready. Then finally, the GAGC. This is so exciting. I saw the conference date, and I'm really hoping to be able to make it, and who knows, maybe I'll even present, how my practicum experience went, and maybe make a presentation out of that to share my findings. And so why do I choose these organizations and these people? Well, they're knowledgeable, they're experienced, they're full of ideas, they've got new ideas, they've got old ideas, they know what works, they're also super supportive, and they're advocates for students. And so I know that, we always, something that's really big for our county is the student is number one. So I know that these people working in the school with me are advocates for students, and I know that, I can bring in my knowledge for advocacy in terms of, multicultural education and making sure that our gifted program isn't underrepresented in culturally diverse students. And I think something else is, something I wanted to talk about before the end is I really kind of want to go back to Howard's Hope and Healing section. So he mentions, I agree that change is possible. I do, but not without teamwork. And he states, we alone cannot solve all the problems left in the wake of dominance, but we together with our students and colleagues of color, there are many healing responses we can bring into the educational process. So the greatest resources we have in our schools is the diversity of teachers. I mean, we have teachers coming from all cultural backgrounds, educational backgrounds, family backgrounds. And so I think it's so important that we have these courageous conversations. We get out there, we talk about it. It may be uncomfortable for some, people at first, but we let them know this is a safe space and we're going to grow. So, diversity brings such different perspectives, and it's so important that we let everyone share what they have to say and bringing that all to the table. So really, I hope my first year, with my gifted students to be able to just get really involved in that gifted program and be an advocate for them and work on the underrepresentation if there is, because like Kendall says, our work is not done. And it's time for us to get started, and I'm super excited for being a first-year teacher and going in with this knowledge. So I hope everyone has had a great semester and has enjoyed this class as much as I have. I've learned so much, and I'm so, so, so excited to implement it this fall. So thank you for watching, and I hope everyone has a great school year. Thanks so much.